Polar bears are the kings and queens of the Arctic. They are powerful predators, perfectly adapted to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Imagine a world of snow and ice, where temperatures plummet and the sun barely rises for months. That's where polar bears thrive. These magnificent creatures roam the frozen landscapes of Canada, Russia, Greenland, Norway, and the United States, specifically Alaska. They are true symbols of the Arctic, their white coats blending seamlessly with the snow and ice. Polar bears are a vital part of the Arctic ecosystem. Their presence or absence tells us a lot about the health of this fragile environment. Sadly, these magnificent creatures are facing a growing threat: climate change. Polar bears are absolute units when it comes to surviving the cold. Their thick fur coats and a layer of blubber keep them toasty warm, even when temperatures dip way below freezing. They've got these huge paws with rough pads and non-retractable claws, like built-in ice cleats, that give them amazing traction on ice and snow. Talk about being sure-footed, and check out their swimming skills. Polar bears are strong swimmers thanks to their slightly webbed paws. They can hold their breath for an impressive amount of time, allowing them to hunt seals, their favorite meal. But it's not just their physical features. They've got the smarts too. Polar bears are incredibly resourceful and patient hunters. They've adapted to this extreme environment over thousands of years. Polar bears are expert hunters, perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions of the Arctic. Their diet consists mainly of seals, which provide the necessary fat and nutrients to survive the freezing temperatures. These bears have evolved some seriously sneaky techniques to catch their prey, making them formidable predators in their icy domain. One of their favorite methods is called still hunting, a technique that requires immense patience and skill. They wait patiently near breathing holes in the ice, where seals come up for air, sometimes for hours on end without moving. When a seal pops its head up, bam! The polar bear snatches it with a swift paw swipe, showcasing their incredible reflexes and strength. They also use their powerful sense of smell to track seals across vast distances. We're talking miles here. This sense is so acute that they can detect a seal from over a kilometer away. They can sniff out a seal hiding under the snow from incredibly far away, even through thick layers of ice and snow. Once they've caught a seal, they use their massive teeth and strong jaws to crush through the tough skin and blubber, ensuring they get every bit of nourishment. It's a vital source of fat and energy in their diet, crucial for maintaining their body heat and energy levels in the extreme cold. After a successful hunt, a polar bear will often rest and digest its meal, conserving energy for the next hunt in the relentless Arctic environment. Climate change is causing the Arctic to warm up twice as fast as other parts of the world. This rapid warming is not just a statistic, it has real, tangible effects on the environment and the creatures that inhabit it. This warming trend is having a devastating impact on polar bears, whose lives are so closely tied to the sea ice. The ice serves as their hunting ground, their resting place, and even their breeding platform. As temperatures rise, the ice is melting earlier in the spring and forming later in the fall. This shift in the ice cycle disrupts the delicate balance of the Arctic ecosystem, affecting not just polar bears but all species that rely on the ice. This means polar bears have less time to hunt seals on the ice, which is their primary feeding platform. Seals are abundant in the Arctic, but without the ice, polar bears find it increasingly difficult to catch them. This loss of sea ice forces polar bears to spend more time on land. On land, they are out of their element, struggling to find food and shelter. On land, food is harder to come by, and they're not as efficient at hunting land animals. They often resort to scavenging, which is not enough to sustain them. The shrinking ice also means longer distances between hunting grounds and resting spots. Polar bears are strong swimmers, but the increased distances are exhausting and dangerous. This forces polar bears, especially mothers with cubs, to swim longer distances, using up precious energy reserves. The cubs are particularly vulnerable as they tire more quickly and are at greater risk of drowning. Section 5. The melting ice's toll on hunting. Imagine you're a polar bear and your kitchen just got a whole lot smaller. The vast, icy expanse that once served as your hunting ground is now shrinking rapidly. That's what's happening as the Arctic sea ice melts. The ice is disappearing at an alarming rate, transforming the landscape and making survival increasingly difficult. The ice is like a giant platform for polar bears to hunt seals. These platforms are essential for their hunting strategy, allowing them to traverse the Arctic and find their prey. Without it, they struggle to find enough food to survive. The diminishing ice forces them to travel greater distances, expending more energy and finding less food. They rely on the element of surprise when hunting seals at breathing holes. These breathing holes are crucial as seals come up for air, giving polar bears a rare opportunity to catch them. Thinner ice is noisier and more prone to cracking, making it harder for polar bears to sneak up on their prey. The noise alerts the seals, who then escape into the water. This lack of hunting success means polar bears are not getting the calories they need, especially during crucial times like the spring, when they need to replenish their fat reserves after the lean winter months. The spring is a critical period for them to build up energy for the coming year. It's a heartbreaking consequence of climate change, and it's making it harder and harder for polar bears to survive and raise their young. The future of these majestic creatures is uncertain, as they face the dual challenges of a changing environment and dwindling food sources. Section 6. A race against time, polar bears and starvation. The biggest threat to polar bears right now is starvation. As the sea ice dwindles, so does their primary food source, seals. This lack of food has dire consequences. Polar bears, especially mothers nursing cubs, rely on the fat reserves they build up during the hunting season. Without enough seals to eat, they become weak and malnourished. This can lead to a decline in the number of cubs born, and those that are born may have a lower chance of survival. It's a vicious cycle, and it's all connected to the melting Arctic sea ice. Scientists are already observing these heartbreaking effects. They're seeing thinner bears, lower cub survival rates, and even cases of cannibalism in some areas. Section 7. Beyond the ice, climate change's ripple effects. Climate change isn't just melting the ice, it's impacting the entire Arctic ecosystem, and those ripples are affecting polar bears in ways we're only beginning to understand. As the Arctic warms, new predators, like wolves and brown bears, are moving further north, increasing competition for food and resources. Warmer temperatures are also linked to an increase in diseases and parasites that can affect polar bears and other Arctic wildlife. And then there are the human impacts. With less ice, there's increased human activity in the Arctic, like shipping and oil exploration, which can disrupt polar bear habitats and hunting grounds. Section 8. Protecting the Arctic, protecting polar bears. The fate of polar bears is intertwined with the health of the Arctic. Protecting their future means tackling climate change head-on and reducing our impact on this fragile environment. We need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which are the main drivers of climate change. That means transitioning to cleaner sources of energy, like solar and wind power. Supporting policies that promote sustainable practices and reduce our carbon footprint is crucial. We need to act now to slow down the warming of the planet. Conserving and protecting vital polar bear habitats is essential. This includes establishing protected areas where they can hunt, breed, and raise their young undisturbed. Section 9, our role in conservation, small steps, big impact. We can all make a difference in the fight to save polar bears. Every little bit counts, and together we can create a powerful wave of change. Reduce your carbon footprint by using less energy at home, choosing energy-efficient appliances, and driving less. Even small changes in our daily habits can add up. Support organizations that are working to protect polar bears and their habitats through research, conservation efforts, and educating the public. Spread the word. Talk to your friends, family, and community about climate change and the plight of polar bears. The more people who understand the issue, the more support we can build for solutions. Section 10, hope on the horizon, research and initiatives. Thankfully, there's a lot of important work being done to understand and protect polar bears. Scientists are working tirelessly to track polar bear populations, study their behavior, and find ways to mitigate the impacts of climate change. International agreements and collaborations between governments, scientists, and conservation groups are crucial for implementing effective conservation strategies across polar bear range states. Innovations in renewable energy, sustainable practices, and technology offer hope for reducing our environmental impact and slowing down climate change. Community-based conservation programs are empowering local communities in the Arctic to be stewards of their environment and protect polar bear populations. Section 11, a future for polar bears, our shared responsibility. The future of polar bears is uncertain, but it's not hopeless. We have the power to change course and create a future where these magnificent creatures can continue to roam the Arctic. It's up to each and every one of us to act as responsible citizens of the planet. We need to reduce our impact, make conscious choices, and advocate for change. The time to act is now. Let's work together to protect polar bears, their icy kingdom, and the future of our planet. We owe it to them, and we owe it to future generations. Let's keep those polar bear bellies full of delicious seals and their icy playground frozen solid. We can do this together.